In this episode of FTD Facts, we're taking a look at the countries of the Philippines and Mongolia, and we're putting them side by side in another Which Is Better episode where we are highlighting the features and statistics of each country, and you decide which country you think is better. How's it going, everybody? My name is Leroy Kenton, and yeah, I want to know below in the comment section, which country do you think is better, Philippines or Mongolia? And there's no right answer, guys. Every single place on this planet has its great features and its features that people don't necessarily like that much. But again, it's up to you, it's your choice, so I want to know your thoughts down below. Alright, so starting off this episode, I want to first introduce the Philippines. The Philippines is considered a unitary sovereign state as well as an island country. The Philippines, it got its name from King Philip II of Spain, and the entire landmass of the Philippines is made up of islands, which makes it the second largest archipelago in the world. Now, there are more than 7,000 islands that fill up the Philippines. The Philippines also has a very fast-growing population. It's an incredibly diverse nation in terms of its language, as well as its religion and ethnicity, and also its geography. Its current population is estimated 106,685,000 people. It is the 12th most populated country in the entire world, and its annual growth rate is around 2%, which makes it one of the fastest growing countries in the world. The current population density is 357 people per square kilometers, and the Philippines has a total land area of 342,353 square kilometers. Now, the capital city is Manila, and the languages spoken in the Philippines are English and Filipino. Okay, so that was your introduction of the Philippines. Now I want to move on over into Mongolia. Now, not many people know that much about Mongolia, apart from people that know the history of Genghis Khan, who founded the Mongol Empire, and he was from there. The country that the world now knows as Mongolia is actually the historic Outer Mongolia. Inner Mongolia is still an autonomous region in China, and Mongolia is a landlocked unitary sovereign state, and it's one of the most sparsely populated places on the entire planet. The current population of Mongolia is 3,107,564. Now, its population density is only 2 people per square kilometers, and its total land area is 1,564,110 square kilometers. Its capital city is Ulaanbaatar, and the languages spoken in Mongolia officially are Mongolian. Now let's examine the money of these two countries. In the Philippines, the currency used is the Philippine peso, and 1 Philippine peso equals 0.019 US dollars. In Mongolia, the currency used is the Mongolian Turgric, and 1 Mongolian Turgric is equal to 0.00041 US dollars. When we take a closer look into the economy of these two countries, first off with the Philippines, they are the 41st largest export economy in the entire world. Based on the latest numbers, the Philippines exported $54.3 billion and imported $80.5 billion, resulting in a negative trade balance of $26.3 billion. The latest estimates show that Philippines' GDP is $304 billion, and the GDP per capita in the Philippines is estimated just under $8,000. Now, by the way, guys, in case you didn't pick it up already, these numbers and figures are going to be estimated in US dollars. So as I mentioned, the total exports were $54.3 billion in the Philippines, and their top exports were integrated circuits, computers, as well as wood carpentry. Now, looking at the imports of the Philippines, the latest estimates show that Philippines imported, as I mentioned, $80.5 billion, making it the 30th largest importer in the world. Now, its top imports were integrated circuits, followed by cars, and then refined petroleum. Now, Mongolia, in terms of the export ranking in the entire world, it's a lot lower than the Philippines, at the 75th largest export economy in the world. Over the past decade, Mongolia's GDP has increased by 223%. Now, its poverty rate has dropped from 37% to 22%, and its inflation rate has dropped from an annual average of 23% to 3.4%. Now, the factors responsible for this impressive record include tremendous mineral reserves, as well as agriculture endowment, as well as the closeness it has to the massive Asian market. On top of that, Mongolia has a very educated labor force. The latest numbers indicate that the GDP of Mongolia is $11.2 billion, and this GDP per capita is just over $12,000. In terms of total exports for Mongolia, that was at $4.91 billion, and its top exports were copper ore, coal briquettes, and gold. Now, for imports, their total imports were $3.33 billion, and their top imports were refined petroleum, cars, as well as electricity. More than 90% of Mongolia's exports are shipped to China or through China. And Russia provides 90% of Mongolia's refined petroleum products and 20% of its electrical power. Okay, now I want to do a side-by-side comparison with the military of these two nations. Let's see how they compare. When we first look at the Philippines military, the armed forces of the Philippines, together with the Philippines National Police, is the major institution that is in charge of protecting and keeping the peace and order in the Philippines. Now, the AFP is composed of the Philippine Army, the Philippine Navy, including the Philippines Marine Corps and the Philippines Air Force. All branches of the armed forces of the Philippines are part of the Department of National Defense, which is headed by a secretary. Now, when we examine the military, the manpower available in the Philippines is 50,700,000, and its active personnel is 172,500 people. The reserve personnel sits at 325,750 people. Now, looking at Mongolia's military, they've expanded their roles at home as well as overseas. Today, Mongolia is quickly becoming known for its global military presence. With China and Russia as its only direct neighbors, Mongolia faces a huge number of problems. The ancient Mongol army was a force to be reckoned with and was one of the great armies of the ancient world. At home, the Mongolian military has great responsibility to build infrastructures, schools, and hospitals. In a way, the military lends a hand by bridging the gap between the government and civilians by constructing the necessary pieces required to build a modern society. So as you can tell right off the bat that the Mongolian military operates quite a bit differently than the Philippine military. The available manpower in the Mongolian military is 1,800,000 people, and its total active personnel is 10,275, and their reserve personnel sits at 140,000. Now I'm going to break down the current aspects of the military side by side. Let's first take a look at the army strength of these two countries. The Philippines has 45 combat tanks, 778 armored fighting vehicles. Their towed artillery sits at 270, but they don't have any rocket projectors or any self-propelled artillery. The Mongolian army strength looks like this. They have 420 combat tanks, they have 640 armored fighting vehicles, 130 rocket projectors, 300 towed artillery, but they have 0 self-propelled artillery. Now moving on to their air power. The Philippines has 0 fighter crafts, but they do have 8 attack aircrafts, 74 transport aircrafts, 22 trainer aircrafts. They have a total of 98 helicopters, but they don't have any attack helicopters in their possession. Now, Mongolia's air power is a lot smaller with only 10 transport aircrafts and 6 helicopters. That's all the total air power of Mongolia. The Navy strength looks like this. For the Philippines, the total naval assets are 119. They have 36 patrol aircrafts, 10 corvettes, 4 frigates, but they don't have any aircraft carriers or any mine warfare vessels. For Mongolia's Navy, they have a total of 0 naval assets. Switching it up now from the military, the last thing I want to take a look at is the cost of living in these two countries. Which country is more expensive? Which country is cheaper? So the cost of living in the Philippines and compared to Mongolia is that the food is 10% cheaper in the Philippines. Housing, however, is 20% more expensive. Clothing is 22% less. Transportation is 26% more. Personal care is -9%. And entertainment is 7% more. So when you break it down, the total cost of living in the Philippines is 8% more expensive than in Mongolia. The national debt of the Philippines sits at $275 billion US, and the Philippines' debt as a percentage of the GDP sits at 42.10%. For Mongolia, their national debt is a lot smaller at $18.2 billion, and its debt as a percentage of its GDP is 45.89%. Alright guys, so that was your side-by-side comparison of the Philippines and Mongolia. You guys gotta let me know which country do you think is better. Don't forget guys, you can also follow me on the social media. The links to that are also down below so you can keep up to date with what I'm doing when I'm not filming these videos. Alright guys, you've been so awesome. Take a look at our playlist at the end of this episode where you can can watch more Which Is Better episodes, which I highly recommend. Until next time, guys, my name is Leroy Kenton, and I'll see you guys real soon in another episode. Hey guys, so if you love these Which Is Better episodes where we do side-by-side comparisons between the different countries and other things around the world, you want to check out this playlist. They are filled with videos like this. Or if you just want some generic facts about the different countries and cultures, we have a different playlist for those videos as well.